Hello there and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Olajide Bello. Now the headlines. President Tinubu in Saudi Arabia to attend this year's joint Arab-Islamic summit on the invitation of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Russia suffers its worst ever month in casualties since the start of the war in Ukraine. And Côte d'Ivoire begins preps for 2025 presidential election. President Bola Tinubu is now in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to attend the joint Arab-Islamic summit, which will focus on the current situation in the Middle East. The presidential airplane landed at the King Abdulaziz International Airport at about 10 a.m. local time. President Tinubu was received on arrival by a delegation led by the Deputy Governor of Riyadh, Prince Mohammed Abdul Rahman. The Riyadh summit is scheduled to commence on Monday. A statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nonuga, indicates that the event is at the instance of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. During the summit, President Tinubu is expected to address the ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict, emphasizing Nigeria's strong call for an immediate ceasefire and urgent need for a peaceful resolution. Nigeria also advocates for renewed efforts to revive the two-state solution as a pathway to lasting peace in the region. The president is expected to return after the conclusion of the summit. Moscow has promised total support for Africa. This was emphasized at the closing of the foreign ministers of the continent in a summit at Sochi, southwest Russia. And 10 die at a shootout bar in Mexico. Golo Mohammed tells us more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin's speech to other foreign ministers and senior officials was delivered by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The conference took place on Saturday and Sunday, coming after two Russia-Africa summits held in 2019 and 2023. On the final day, 50 diplomats from about 50 African countries on the Black Sea resort city of Sochi listened to the message from Moscow, asking Africa to open to a multilateral tie. The bond, Moscow said, will eventually be beneficial to both country and continent.
The number of scholarship and other support that we receive from Russia is unprecedented, and even our diplomatic ties, Russia is serving as a big country that we can reckon with, and it's a very friendly country since I presented my credential to His Excellency.
But we are trading in either low value products or unprocessed products with Russia, and we would like to invite investors in Russia to go to Uganda and add value to most of our products that we export to Russia in raw form or in low-valued products.
The first ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum in Sochi began with sideline meetings where a few African nations denounced the partnership with European nations, saying the tie with Russia is objective and much more honorable, where nations come to the table as equals. Rwanda in particular is counting on Russia to train local nuclear power specialists. In other news, emergency service vehicles and armed police officers arrived at the scene of a deadly attack in a bar in central Mexico. The attackers arrived in a pickup truck and opened fire inside the bar, killing 10 people, according to the head of Querétoro's Public Security Department. Golo Mohammed, NTA News.
And Russia has suffered its worst ever month for casualties since the start of the war in Ukraine. The UK Chief of Defense Staff has told journalists. Admiral Tony Radakin said Russia's forces suffered an average of 1,500 deaths and injuries every single day. And by October, its losses stood at 700,000 since the war began in February 2022. Russia does not disclose the number of its war dead, but Western defense officials have said October's death toll was the heaviest so far. He said the losses were for tiny increments of land, emphasizing that there is no doubt that Russia is making tactical territorial gains and that it is putting pressure on Ukraine. But Russia, he added, is spending more than 40% of its public expenditure on defense and security, which he said is an enormous drain on the country. A delegation from Afghanistan is set to attend the upcoming United Nations Climate Change Summit in Abuja, marking its fourth appearance since the Taliban government came to power. Dr. Mohammed has details.
The leader of the delegation, Malawi Matil, said they look forward to the conference in hopes that their relationship with the natural environment will be for the good of mitigating the climate change crisis staring the globe negatively in the face. Malawi says climate change is a humanitarian issue, calling on the international community to not associate climate change issues with politics. Meanwhile, they have COP29 President Mukhtar Babiev on plenary room at Baku Stadium, headed to the venue of summit at the eve of the opening of the United Nations Climate Conference in Azerbaijan. Here, final preparations are ongoing inside the COP29 Blue Zone in Baku, Azerbaijan, ahead of the official start on Monday. The petrostate is hosting a climate conference as global emissions of planet-heating fossil fuels continue to rise, despite many nations facing devastating floods, droughts, heat waves, and storms. Organizers say over 50,000 attendees are expected between November 11th and 12th, 2024. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
The former Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire, Pascal Affi-N'Guessan, was on Saturday named candidate for the popular Ivorian Front FPI for the 2025 presidential election. At Congress in Yamoussoukro, the country's capital, Guessan was re-elected president of the FPI with 99.34% of the votes cast by some 4,500 voters. The FPI party of former President Laurent Gbagbo, which Guessan took over its leadership during Gbagbo's incarceration in The Hague for charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Guessan has sought the presidency in 2015 and 2020, each time losing to the incumbent, President Assani Ouattara. He rejected the results and was briefly arrested on accusations of running a parallel government. Some of Guessan's key proposals include abolishing the Senate and a restoration of presidential term limits. Ouattara, who won re-election, has not indicated and will seek fourth term or not. A new report has highlighted how artificial intelligence can boost socio-economic development and climate mitigation efforts in some of Africa's biggest economies. Produced by the Global System for Mobile Communications, the report says dozens of users, cases and applications can have a major impact in front-running technology markets in Kenya, South Africa and Nigeria. However, it warns that the process would not be easy and may require overcoming critical barriers such as lack of investment and a limited availability of data centers.
The report by GSMC says at present, Africa holds 2.5% share of the global artificial intelligence market. However, according to AI for Development Program, AI could boost the continent's economy by $2.9 trillion by 2030, representing 3% of annual GDP growth. GSMC says 98% of AI use cases in Africa are predictive AI applications. Most of the AI use case applications on the continent are in three sectors: agriculture, climate action, and energy. In agriculture, farmers utilize AI use cases to access advice, enabling them to deploy smart farming practices and maximize on productivity. In energy, AI-driven solutions are helping improve on-grid infrastructure and off-grid systems, providing cheap and dependable energy services. On climate, AI is being used to monitor biodiversity and wildlife protection. Machine learning models are developing early warning systems and real-time disaster evaluation. However, GSMC says several factors still impede AI development on the continent. They include insufficient local language data, and lack of data centers and computing power, among others. Now, the report encourages the development of distributed hyperlocal edge computing, where tasks occur on devices, including phones and laptops, reducing dependence on high-powered data centers. This will provide AI models a platform on smartphones, and with smartphone penetration in Africa expected to reach 88% by 2030, mobile-based edge computing could be key to the growth of AI in Africa.
The Nigerian Army's 17th Brigade Katsina has rescued 9 kidnapped victims, including 2 nursing mothers, from captivity and handed them over to the state government. The victims, residents of Katsina State, were initially abducted from Saboa local government area and held for 3 months in the forest around Kaduna State. Awal Haliru reports.
The 7 victims, including 2 nursing mothers, were kidnapped from various locations and taken to forest in Kaduna State. The commander of the 17th Brigade Katsina, represented by the Chief of Staff, emphasized that the rescue operation demonstrates the Army's non-kinetic approach to addressing insecurity. He warned bandits and other violent extremists to cease their activities.
This particular rescue was through non-kinetic operation, which was done by the High Echelon of the Nigerian Army. So with this, that showed that the door is still open for them to embrace peace and turn a new leaf. So we are sending this as a warning and also an advice to them if they are ready to hit. And if not, we'll still continue on non-kinetic operation.
The Katsina State government, represented by Senior Special Assistant on Victims of Banditry and Internally Displaced Persons, commended the Nigerian Army and other security agencies for their efforts. He assured the victims of government support, including medical and psychological care, and reunification with their families.
All the security agents in Katsina State are now working together in synergy. That's why we are succeeding. That's why we are fighting this menace and so on. And look at it now, it has been transferred to Katsina State and then carried over by the 17th Brigade.
This rescue operation brings hope to families affected by kidnapping and demonstrates the Nigerian Army's commitment to combating insecurity. In Katsina, Awan Halaru, NTA News.
After months of intelligence gathering and painstaking surveillance, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have smashed 2 major cross-border drug trafficking syndicates with cocaine and opioids worth billions of naira recovered from them, while 6 leaders of the cartel were arrested in different parts of the country. Sawa Khalil Ibrahim has the report.
It was the end of the road for leaders of the syndicate, known as Notorious for their cross-border activities. They were arrested at different locations across the country in possession of different types of psychoactive substances, including cocaine and tramadol, concealed in vehicle parts. Meanwhile, NDLEA operatives in Apapa Seaport, Lagos, on Wednesday, 6 November, intercepted 31,750,000 pills of Voltron, a controlled opioid packaged and concealed in a container imported from India as diclofenac tablets. At the Murtala Mohammed International Airport import shed Ikeja, Lagos, NDLEA officers intercepted a 700 grams consignment of loud. A software engineer who showed up to collect the package was promptly arrested, and a follow-up search of his home in Lekki led to the recovery of some drug paraphernalia, including cannabis crusher. In Abuja, NDLEA operatives in the Federal Capital Territory on Thursday, 7th November, intercepted a truck along Abaju-Kwali Road with 755.50 kilograms cannabis concealed under empty cartons of noodles. Discoveries and arrests were also made in Kaduna, Kano, Edo, Plateau, Kwara and Ondo State during the week under review. These include war against drug abuse advocacies across the country. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a break now. More stories when we return. Stay with us. Thanks for being there. The presidency says it is time for former Vice President and PDP presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Atiku Abubakar, to end this grand illusion after losing in the last election. The former Vice President has shown more interest in undermining President Bola Ahmed Tinubu than in addressing his party's implosion. In a statement by presidential spokesman Bayo Ononuga, it has become evident that he is envious of President Tinubu's position and office he has unsuccessfully sought 6 times. Ononuga said it is perplexing that Atiku is still elevating his untested hypothetical proposal, which Nigerians soundly rejected during the 2023 presidential election, and seek to present it as a superior alternative to the multifaceted reform programs being implemented by the Tinubu administration. If his plan lacked popular appeal, he must acknowledge that merely repackaging it will not resolve the socio-economic challenges his People's Democratic Party, PDP, bequeathed after 16 years in power. Atiku's economic analysis demonstrates a significant misunderstanding of Nigeria's realities. His narratives that they would have done differently indicates an inability to engage with the present economic realities being revitalized multidimensionally under President Tinubu's leadership. The statement asks, what reforms would Atiku propose at the onset of his hypothetical and fabled presidency, as he has consistently suggested? A consultation period upon assuming office, the reality is that the Nigerian economy requires immediate and decisive action. A leader must be prepared to tackle challenges from day one, as President Tinubu has done. Atiku going further to accuse President Tinubu of stealing his presidency exposes his sense of entitlement and his disconnect from the electorate. The truth is that Tinubu rightfully won the presidency, a position Atiku was simply unqualified for due to his arrogance, insensitivity to Nigerians' diversity, and the decision to disregard his party's power rotation arrangement between the North and the South after 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. Atiku's idea of a consultation period upon entering office shows a troubling lack of awareness regarding the state of economy, which was in dire need of urgent action. The Tinubu administration came prepared with a firm action plan to address the shortcomings that persisted during President Olusegun Obasanjo's time when Atiku was vice president. We can only speculate that detrimental impact Atiku's proposed lengthy town hall and village square meetings would have had on Nigeria's economy if he had been elected president and taken such an approach. The country needed a proactive leader such as Tinubu, who immediately set to work on addressing economic challenges rather than one who would have squandered precious time on consultations and a questionable privatization agenda. Atiku's critics of Tinubu's presidency are mere harebrained propositions devoid of realistic alternatives. He must reckon with the decades of mismanaged economy inherited by the current administration, including exorbitant subsidy expenditures far exceeding government earnings from crude oil as of mid-2023. The landing cost of fuel was between 500 and 600 naira, while it was sold nationwide at an average of 200 naira. The 2023 budget allocated 3.36 trillion for fuel subsidies until June 2023, against a projected 2.23 trillion in oil revenue for the year. The Nigerian state was on life support. Instead of conjuring imaginary scenarios, we expect the former vice president to engage with these urgent realities. The estimated 5.4 trillion savings from subsidy removal in 2024 are being actively directed towards infrastructure development and social intervention programs initiatives that will benefit all tiers of government and enhance Nigeria's quality of life. We expect Atiku to commend what the Tinubu administration has done concerning revenue generation for the Federation. Without factoring in oil sales, revenue proceeds generated by the Federal Inland Revenue Service almost doubled in the first half of 2024 compared with the level Tinubu met in 2023. The states and councils are more prosperous because of it, as many states have increased the minimum wage for their workers to between 70,000 and 85,000 naira. Atiku's proposal to privatize the 4 government-owned refineries, which collectively can meet a fraction of the nation's daily fuel consumption when activated, lacks originality. In 2007, investors were only willing to offer $160 million for 51% equity in the Port Harcourt refinery, while the Kaduna refinery had an offer of $102 million. According to industry experts and the late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua, Nigeria's head of state at the time, who cancelled the sale of the refineries by the Obasanjo-Atiku government. The offered bids were considered scrap value. As Vice President, Atiku oversaw the sale of the nation's assets to private individuals and cronies at low prices. Today, most public enterprises Atiku sold have been stripped and become dead assets. The model of farming, the completely rehabilitated refineries to private sector managers at an agreed-upon rate of return to the government as adopted by Tinubu's government, is more practical and value-laden than selling our national patrimony to some private interests but are not technically capable of operating the refineries. The Tinubu administration focuses on revitalizing these refineries while supporting modular refineries and the Dangote refinery, which has greater capacity. The approach will guarantee domestic production and stabilize retail prices by reducing foreign exchange challenges. It includes selling crude oil to the refineries in Naira, enabling potential cost reductions that could reflect in retail prices. Regarding Atiku's allegations of corruption within the NNPC, the fuel subsidy has historically been the leading corruption enabler in the state-owned oil company. President Tinubu's removal of this subsidy eliminated the most significant incentive for corruption within the NNPC. During his 8-year tenure as vice president, Atiku and his boss had an opportunity to address this issue but failed to make any significant reform in the oil sector. If in any case, it is not ironic that an Atiku who has entangled his corruption allegations, including one in which his wife was indicted and his business associate, former U.S. Congressman William Jefferson, was jailed for 13 years, is now talking about corruption matters. This suggestion of phased-out subsidy removal is an outdated approach that has historically led to fiscal challenges for countries like Indonesia, which Atiku references. Nigeria has gradually phased out subsidies since 1978, with numerous adjustments made. Fuel prices were adjusted 22 times between 1978 and 2020. Rather than pushing for unrealistic timelines, Atiku should recognize the necessity of President Tinubu's bold reforms. Notably, while Atiku peddles his economic fantasies, he has yet to denounce President Tinubu's removal of the fuel subsidy because he knows that the reform was necessary and correct. We can only urge him to purge himself of the petty, derisive politics of a sore loser. Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Shehu Mohammed, has condemned the fatal crash that occurred at Meirua and the Funtua-Sokoto route in Katsina State on Saturday, which claimed 15 lives, leaving 13 others sustaining various degrees of injuries. The accident, the Corps Marshal says, is not only avoidable and preventable but highly condemnable, noting that if the driver had observed established legal speed limits, ensured adequate vehicle maintenance and complied with traffic regulations, the crash would have been avoided. The Meirua crash involved a Toyota Hiace bus loaded passengers from Zamfara heading to the southern part of the country and had a tire bus in Meirua village, which eventually led to loss of control as the driver rammed head-on into a Sino truck belonging to Dangote Group, killing 15 people. The Nigerian Television Authority is once again showcasing its commitment to preserving and promoting Nigeria's rich customs through the 2024 edition of the Cultural and Traditional Festival organized by NTA Sokoto Network Center in collaboration with Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. Governor of Sokoto State Ahmed Aliu and Director General of the NTA Abdul Hamid Saliu Dembos described the festival as a testament to the NTA management's commitment to innovation and preservation of people's cultural heritage through community participation and engagement. Siadia Umardigi reports.
Atmosphere at the NTA Sokoto Network Center is electric, with traditional dance performances, art and craft exhibitions, cultural processions, and display of mineral resources and agricultural produce from contingents of the 23 local government areas of Sokoto State. Governor Ahmed Aliu represented, commended NTA Sokoto Network Center for the initiative and for organizing the traditional festival in 2 consecutive years.
The NTA has been around for decades and it has continued to play a significant role in development of this country. and uniting the country.
Director General of NTA, Abdulhamid Salihu Dembos, underscored the importance of preserving and promoting the nation's cultural heritage, adding that NTA remains committed to delivering high-quality content reflecting values and aspirations of Nigerians.
NTA will always be there supporting implementation of your 9-point smart agenda for the progress of Sokoto of the state.
Chairman of the occasion, Senator Aliu Magatakar Dawamako, stated that the festival will assist in harnessing the national relics and identity.
We are here to celebrate our culture, an event that NTA management was wise. Preserving our culture is something that is very good.
Prizes are to be won at the end of the two-day fiesta. In Sokoto, Sadia Umadigi, NTA News.
The Director General of Nigerian Television Authority, Abdulhamid Salihu Dembos, says NTA is deeply saddened by the news of the passing of Joy Osiagu, a cherished former colleague, respected reporter and accomplished newscaster. In a condolence message on behalf of the management and staff of the NTA, the Director General noted that Joy embodied the spirit of journalism with her unwavering dedication, integrity and passion, adding that she brought to her role not only an exceptional talent for storytelling but also a deep sense of responsibility to the truth. He condoled with the family, friends and all who had the honor to work alongside late Joy Osiagu and prayed for the repose of her soul and comfort for her family at this morning moment. Up next is the weather forecast for Monday. And that's it on the news on NTA International. Thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.